Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our webinar today of Introduction to Oil and Gas, Unraveling the Myth of Upstream Industry. My name is Faiz Latif from PaySub Academy. I'll be with you today as the moderator of the webinar. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody is positive, healthy, and safe at the comfort of your places. Interestingly, for this webinar, I understand that we receive registration globally. We have participants from Pakistan, Maldives, the UK, UAE, Indonesia, Singapore, and of course, our home country, Malaysia. It is an honor to once again welcome everybody, our guests, and we thank you for your time to spend with us today. I'd like to introduce you to our trainer today, Ahmad Faris Azhar. He's been with oil and gas for 11 years, mainly get the experience from Schlumberger, Seymour Group, and Checkup Technical Services. So I wish you all sit back, relax, and enjoy while we are unraveling this myth, the three myths, with Faris. So without further ado, please welcome Faris.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Good day, everyone. How are you today? First of all, I would like to thank all of you for joining this session. So I know originally in the brochure, we mentioned only three myths, but I'm feeling good today. So I think I just might as well give you guys a bonus, right? So there's a lot of people thought that upstream activities only happen offshore, especially if you are from Malaysia, right? So before answering the myth, right, I think it's better if we understand, right, clearly what is the definition of upstream and also downstream. So upstream is all business concerned with obtaining hydrocarbon from underground reservoir to its supply to refineries or gas processing plant, and it's being made into a saleable products, right? So speaking of which, upstream activities include like exploration, drilling, field development, construction and installation, production, and also decommissioning, right? So what about downstream? So downstream is all activities related to processing the hydrocarbon into products for marketing, right? So this include refinery, gas processing, right, and also the petrochemical plants. So if you see these two main keywords here, right? If you're talking about upstream, it's about recovering the hydrocarbon. If you are talking about downstream, right, it's all about processing the hydrocarbon. So I hope the participants today will not get confused anymore, right, when we're talking about upstream and downstream, so that you get a better view, yeah? So I'm going to share you two pictures, yeah, from upstream facilities, yeah? So you can see this is a typical offshore facilities that we can find. It's normally made out of steel, yellow in color, and it's smack right in the middle of nowhere in the ocean, right? So that is a typical upstream facilities offshore, right? And you can see, right, the onshore facilities, right? This is a common sighting this is not common in Malaysia, but in our neighboring countries, right? Like Indonesia, Thailand, and Brunei. This what we call a donkey pump is a common sighting. So looking at these two photos, right? I think I've answered this myth number 0, where the upstream activities only happen offshore. I think it's busted, right? So irrespective of its geographical location, right? Upstream activities, it can be either offshore or onshore, right? So let us go to myth number 1, right? I think this is one of the most popular question related to oil and gas. Oil and gas really come from dinosaur? Is it real? Yeah. So, does this picture ring any bells? So this picture shows that if oil and gas really comes from dinosaur, right? This is how it will look like, right? The fat from the T-Rex, right, is the natural gas that we harvested today, and its body is a crude oil. But is this true? So let us understand more about how petroleum and natural gas is being formed, right? If you see from the picture here, what was once algae, plankton, fish, a tree, or even a dinosaur, right, can be oil and gas today. Over millions of years, the remain of bacteria, plants, and animals bound together with fine sediments such as clay or shale and created layers on the seabed. These layers are called source rock. Yeah? And over the years, yeah, they were covered with younger sediments, and together with sedimentary basin, they sank deeper and deeper into the earth crust. Yeah, the remains of the organism were converted partly into oil and gas through bacterial activity or the lack of oxygen because you get buried deeper in the crust, right? And also, if you go deeper, right, the temperature will increase, right? So the increase of the temperature together with the pressure will chemically, right, will chemically and inorganically change the structure of the organic matters and turn it into oil and gas. So the newly formed hydrocarbon don't just remain at the source rock. Yeah? They will find a way to migrate their way back to the surface over millions of years. This is a slow process. It doesn't happen overnight or over a week, over a month. It happens over millions of years. Right? So they continue rising until they reach a porous layer such as carbonate or sandstone, right? And then the oil and gas accumulate into the tiny hollow spaces between the grains of sand and other pores in the reservoir rocks. Yeah? And if the rock layer above is impermeable, right? For example, I give you shale or clay, right? Meaning that the fluid cannot pass through it, right? So it will accumulate there. And then the raw material will trap, and that trappings is what we call a reservoir. Yeah. So today, what we have to do is basically you need to locate the reservoir, drill through it, and evacuate the hydrocarbon, yeah, from subsurface to get oil and gas. Okay. So asking to this myth, right? Oil and gas really come from dinosaur? Well, to be fair, it's not just dinosaurs, right? Dinosaurs, evidently, they live between 230 and 65 million years ago, right? In the time we know as a Mesozoic era, right? And as you can see in the previous slide, the process even began around 300 to 400 million years back, right? And it's a slow process. So I think oil and gas is not just dinosaur, but it will include other ancient organic matters such as plankton, algae, and also trees. Yeah. So let's throw that myth number one into the rubbish bin, and let's start to myth number two. I think this myth number two is the most mysterious of all, right? How does these people know exactly where to drill? Right? Is it just by wild guess and they just got lucky when they hit the oil reservoir? Okay, I'm going to explain about this, right? So let's understand the exploration concept, right? So when oil companies acquire blocks or acreage, right, they will have a very limited or no information at all with regards to the geological structure of that area. Yeah, think that as a empty A4 paper, right? I use A4 paper because mostly we use A4 paper here in Malaysia. So the next step, right? The next step is basically to find a spot, right, for us to start drilling. So the frontiers, right? When I'm talking about frontiers, I'm referring to the GNG department, right? GNG is Geology and Geophysics department, right? The frontiers will basically need to start filling up the empty papers with drillable targets. Yeah. The question now, how the frontiers is going to do that, right? How they can scan underneath the empty A4 paper and put targets on top of it. Yeah. So during late 19th and the beginning of the 20th century, oil seepage were discovered all around the world, right? And those oil seepage were exploited with digging. And later, when we get smarter, we start to drill, right? We drill wells near to where you can sight the oil seepage, right? As technology propagates, right, currently we are using seismic surveys to locate the reservoirs. So what is a seismic survey, right? So in the ocean, right, we will use seismic survey vessel equipped with long stream of microphones. Right? We call them hydrophones. Why hydrophone? Because it's a microphone submerged into the water, hydrophones, right? So the survey ship will shoot sound of wave, and the hydrophone will basically record the reflected wave. As we know, fundamentally, sound will travel at different speed at different density, and those rock layers has different densities. So it will give different properties of reflection. Yeah. So the reflected wave will provide more details information about the shape and depth of the subsurface structure. As you can see in the picture, right? There's a typical survey vessel shape, right? It will drag a streamer of hydrophone for around maybe 400 meters. It's a long streamer, right? And it will basically sail around the ocean, empty ocean, right? And finding, locating these reservoirs, okay? So after the seismic data being acquired, it will be brought back to the office to be further processed, yeah? And the processing usually will involve powerful computers applying stacks, filters, and also removing unnecessary noise. If, for example, like say you are doing your seismic survey on land, right? So you'll be using a lot of trucks. So your microphone, right? Your microphone will basically collect noises from this truck as well, or tractor from the nearby fields, right? So you're doing all this process, right? This is a typical seismic data after processing, right? I'm going to ask you a question. Anyone here can interpret this? Me neither. I'm not a seismic expert, right? But as you can see here, the seismic survey give a very vital information on the shape of the rock layers subsurface, right? And from there, the frontiers will find specific shapes, right, to locate the reservoir, right? So as you can see, the previous seismic data is in 2D, two-dimensional, right? With advanced computer technology and also the processing capabilities that we have, we can basically transform that 2D data into a 3D data for a better clarity, right? So from the picture here, you can see it looks like a mountain range, right? Like what we can find here on land, yeah? So now we have the subsurface model, yeah? And we have the target. So the frontiers, the JNG department has already determined, okay, where to drill, right? So what's next? So the next step, the JNG team will basically pass these targets, right, to the drilling team, and the drilling team will start to plan their drilling campaign. So basically, that's how the process of exploration, right? So hopefully I've explained the mysterious question number 2 in how to find the hidden oil and gas beneath the surface. Yeah, and I hope it's not a mystery anymore for all of us, right? So when your kid or your friend asks you, hey, how do you find oil and gas? So I hope you guys can explain. Okay. All right. So finally, it has come for me to answer the final myth for today. Is it true that all wells are drilled vertically? To explain the question, right, let me start with a situation. Pace Up Oil Corporation, okay, there's a company that I just recently created. recently acquired an acreage and we named it Trono Field. Okay. After doing our seismic survey, right, our GNG team identified 3 potential reservoirs to be exploited. Okay, namely sand TR1, sand TR3, and sand TR7. So if I want to exploit all three reservoirs with vertical wells, what I need to do is I need to mobilize 3 different rigs at 3 different locations to have access to all the target reservoirs. I will need to spend 10 million US dollar to drill T1, right? As well, number one. To drill T2, I need to spend another $12 million. And to drill T3, which is the deepest out of all these reservoirs, I need to spend another 15 million US dollars. Okay. So the cost, right, for me to exploit all 3 reservoirs is a staggering 37 million US dollars. It's a huge cost, right? So, I mean, our normal life, what can we do with 37 million US dollars? There's a lot of things that we can do. Right? I can buy a mansion, right? However, if we choose to do a directional drilling, right, I only need to mobilize 1 rig at a time and just drill 1 directional well. Okay, as you can see from the picture, right, I exploit and I hit the target of all 3 reservoirs with only 1 well. Okay, and it cost me only 24 million US dollar. So I save 13 million US dollar, and not just that, I cut less trees. So I also save the environment. So 2 in 1, a win-win situation. So why not, right? So in general, we have 4 types of well shape. Yeah? We have the typical vertical well with no inclination at all, with no deviation, is just straight down and hit the target. Number 2, we have a J. Look at the shape is like an S, right? And also we have a horizontal well. So drilling department basically are the department responsible in designing this well. And the goal is basically to exploit all the target reservoirs in the most efficient ways. Okay, so what is your take on myth number 3? I think it's busted, guys, right? So not all wells are drilled vertically, yeah?
Thank you, Faris. And that's basically our free webinar for today. And I hope this will actually benefit your career, benefit your knowledge and your performance in doing your job. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, our guests, thank you. We thank you so much. And remember, stay home, stay safe, and stay competent. My name is Faiz Latif. I would love to see you around soon. Thank you so much.